NASCAR has never handed a car to its drivers with 0 laps behind it. Until now. Denny Hamlin put it plainly. I think this weekend has potential to be absolute chaos. He wasn't talking about a random mid-season event. He was talking about the regular season finale, the race that decides who survives into the playoffs and who goes home before the postseason even begins. Kevin Harvick followed with a warning of his own. You have a big opportunity to wipe out half the field. Two of the sport's sharpest minds, both pointing at the same race, both using the word nobody wants to hear before a green flag drops. 3 drivers are fighting for the final 2 spots in the chase. Careers, contracts, and reputations are riding on a single night at Daytona, in a car that has never turned a competitive lap before race day. No practice session, no test session, nothing to reference beyond simulation data and years of instinct. Every team enters this race carrying the same blind spot, regardless of budget, experience, or championship history. This didn't come out of nowhere. Superspeedway racing at Daytona and Talladega has frustrated fans for years, built around 2 recurring problems: fuel mileage racing that turned long green flag runs into a waiting game, and cars trapped nose to tail in a pack with no way to actually complete a pass. John Probst, NASCAR's president of event management, explained where the real pressure came from. A lot of that feedback came from our drivers. They couldn't pull out to pass and complete the pass, that maybe that was the thing to focus on. For years, the racing devolved into a parade for most of the field before a chaotic scramble in the closing laps. The exact pattern fans have criticized for over a decade, race after race, season after season. And that's exactly why this channel is building towards something bigger. If you want in on every twist of this story before it happens, NASCAR Trackline TV is closing in on 1,500 subscribers, and hitting that number means more of this coverage, faster and more detailed. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and leave a comment with your prediction. It genuinely helps this channel grow and keeps this kind of breakdown coming every week. The fix wasn't decided in a boardroom. NASCAR quietly built a working group earlier in the year, pulling in Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski, not simply as drivers, but as team owners with money and reputation on the line if the package fails. Both men have race teams whose performance and sponsorship value are tied directly to how this weekend plays out, which means their input carried real weight inside the working group's discussions. Hamlin admitted the experimental nature of it himself. This is our first bite of the apple at this. The technical changes are significant. The rear spoiler was cut nearly in half, from 7 inches down to 4. Horsepower dropped from 510 to 465. New spoiler braces and a redesigned deflection device were added. Hardware nobody in the garage has raced with. At speed, in a pack, under lights. NASCAR expects single-car speeds to climb 2 to 3 miles per hour, while still promising drivers can complete a pass with a 5 mph run. Less downforce, less horsepower, and higher top speeds is the exact combination that raises the stakes for every car on that track, especially in 3 and 4 wide traffic. When NASCAR announced the changes, reactions split instantly across the community. Some fans went straight to outrage over the horsepower cut, treating 465 horsepower like an insult to the sport's history. Others pointed out that restrictor plate racing has run under 500 horsepower since the late 1980s, and cars in the early 2000s ran closer to 450. One frequently repeated comparison: Dale Earnhardt won his Daytona 500 with roughly 410 horsepower, a race remembered as one of the greatest wins of his career, not an underpowered one. The counter-argument came fast too. Plenty in the community argued the horsepower number is irrelevant on its own, and that the real story is the drag reduction, not the number sitting on a stat sheet. Alongside the criticism came genuine optimism, the recurring idea that this package could recreate the all-out, grip-limited racing style of Atlanta at a superspeedway, where nobody can afford to save fuel because everyone is forced to race flat out for all 400 laps. Hamlin attached a number to that optimism himself. It's going to be roughly a 33% gain in the right direction. Then the tone shifted from public debate to insider concern. Harvick laid out the risk in full. Right now, one car makes a mistake that starts up at the front. You have a big opportunity to wipe out half the field. Hamlin, one of the architects of this exact package, grew visibly uneasy the closer the race got. The cars could be far more out of control when they're trying to push each other, which could cause smoke. And when there's smoke, there's a wreck. He wasn't speculating. He had seen data the public hasn't, and the man who helped design the package became one of the loudest voices questioning it just days before the green flag. The practice issue made things worse. There will be no practice before this race, not a single lap. The first time these drivers feel this car in a draft will be during qualifying, immediately followed by the race itself, at night, with a playoff spot on the line for more than half the field. Brad Keselowski confirmed the frustration directly. "I would like to have practice, yes. But that decision's already been made." Hamlin went further, openly asking NASCAR to reconsider days before the race. "I would not mind NASCAR saying, you know what, let's just do 20 minutes, guys." The gamble isn't limited to driving. With no data and no practice, every crew chief in the garage is setting up a car blind, relying only on wind tunnel numbers and simulation runs built weeks in advance. Hamlin summed up the risk bluntly. Setup is going to matter. Someone's going to miss it and they're going to be out of freaking control. Adding to the unpredictability, Daytona in August behaves differently than the Daytona 500 in February, with summer heat and nighttime temperature swings changing how the track surface and the cars themselves handle. Combine that with an aero package carrying zero prior race data, and every team is walking into race day with nothing but a simulation and a plan built on guesswork, with no prior race to compare against and no margin for a wrong call. The human stakes are where this story lands hardest. Several drivers are sitting just above the playoff cut line, forced to survive a race in a car nobody has ever raced before, knowing one mistake could end their season instantly. One driver just outside the cut line has already said he's going all in. No fuel saving, no patience, just an all-or-nothing charge through an unpredictable field. Another driver has already clinched his spot atop the standings and, by his own admission, plans to race completely differently than everyone fighting for their playoff lives. Racing flat out for the win with nothing to lose, in the middle of a field where everyone else has everything to lose. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a four-time superspeedway winner, described the pressure facing the bubble drivers. Those guys around the cutoff line are going to be on pins and needles the whole race. Every thread of this story stays unresolved heading into race day. A package built by the sport's own drivers is now being second-guessed by those same drivers. A 33% improvement figure remains unverified outside NASCAR's own data room. There has been zero practice, zero real-world testing, and a fan base split between excitement and dread over what happens once the green flag actually drops. An entire playoff field is about to be decided in a car that has never once turned a lap in real competition, with no data trail to fall back on if something goes wrong. Hamlin's own words carry the weight of what comes next. Someone's going to miss it, and they're going to be out of freaking control. NASCAR bet the most important race of the regular season on a car nobody has ever raced. In less than 48 hours, the sport finds out if that bet pays off, or if Hamlin's warning was the understatement of the year. Drop your prediction in the comments. Share this with another NASCAR fan who needs to see it. And if you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.